Abdul El Sayed wants to take Michigan in a far-left direction. But when questions got tough last night, he had plenty of ways to avoid giving Jesse Waters a direct answer. Now, his association with controversy-prone influencer Hassan Piker is creating an even bigger headache for him and the whole Democratic Party. From reparations to Sharia law, El Sayed had a lot to say, but cleared up almost nothing.
I think we need to have an honest conversation about the incredible debt that was put upon black folks as a function of slavery that we have yet to pay.
So getting rid of Sharia law's white supremacy, can you explain that one?
Do you know what canon law is, Jesse? Yes, circumcision is surgery on a kid's dinglings. The NFL is too expensive. You don't agree?
All right, so you don't think it's racist anymore?
I mean, do you know what?
I'm not very good at math. I don't think you're very good at math either.
Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno, and joining us today are Thel Neville, Fox News anchor, Molly Hemingway, Fox News contributor, Kaylee McGee-White, Fox News contributor, and Jeremy Hunt, former Army intelligence captain and Hudson Institute fellow. Now, Abdul El Sayed has some big ideas for the Senate, but when Jesse Waters asked him to defend them or even explain them, the candidate either sidestepped the question or offered responses that left voters with more questions than answers. When pressed on socialized health care for all, El Sayed came up short on how much it would actually cost the American taxpayer.
What's the price tag of the program?
Who voted to raise prescription drug prices 19 times, right? And so I'm just saying I want to bring your costs down.
You don't even know how much money the government spends every year, do you know? It's $7 trillion a year. And your plan, Jesse, to take over the healthcare system is $4 trillion.
And here's the problem with it. So to exactly your point,
I mean,
do you know what
I'm not very good at math. I don't think you're very good at math either.
As we all now know, the cost for government-run healthcare would be astronomical, with estimates saying it would add up to $3.5 trillion to federal spending. The Abolish ICE candidate also wasn't sure what to do about illegal aliens if we actually did dissolve the agency.
Do you want to abolish ICE? Who's going to deport the criminal aliens from the country?
Long before we ever had ICE, we had INS. We were able to enforce our immigration policies without shooting people in the face and the back of the head.
That's a dodge, Abdul. They did the same thing as ICE back then, INS. Do you know how many illegal aliens are in the country now?
Yeah, exactly. When we had INS, so arguably INS worked a lot better. We have ICE now, and we have far, far more undocumented people. So ICE is clearly not working.
Well, actually, under President Biden, the U.S. saw almost 2 million illegals not apprehended after flooding the open border. And almost 2,000 from the terror watch list attempted entry to the U.S. And when pressed on gender transition procedures for minors, El Sayed offered a wild comparison.
I'm just saying that, yes, circumcision is surgery on a kid's dingling. So if you really want to bring that up, you can. I just think you guys are really selective about how you want to talk about these things.
Abdul, Michigan's not going for that. That is sick stuff.
And then there's the Piker problem. El Sayed campaigned with Hassan Piker, and some argue would not have gotten elected without him. The firebrand controversial influencer made headlines yet again for suggesting that American Jews who support Israel could invite violence against themselves. On his association with Piker, El Sayed offered a limited response saying this, quote, "Nobody speaks for this campaign besides me and my campaign spokespeople." Of course, this comes amid growing anti-Semitism concerns in Michigan, from a Jewish attorney general too afraid to attend a Democratic convention to an attack on a synagogue. Just the tip of the iceberg. Molly, there's a lot to unpack here. Pick your favorite topic.
Oh, I mean, it was fascinating to hear him talking about some of these issues. I can't quite get over his comparison of the sex change procedures on children to circumcision. I do think people need to know how horrific those surgeries are for children who are subjected to them. They cause lifelong trauma, no sexual happiness for the rest of their lives. Cutting off the healthy body parts of children is it's an unforgivable thing to be that blithe about. And he should be thinking much more about it. But the entire interview, the Hassan Piker situation, you know, he gives this limited response to this person who's a virulent bigot. and yet continues to campaign with him and continues to support him. And other Democrats are doing the same. You know, you saw Hakeem Jeffries speaking out a bit against Hassan Piker, but did he say no money should go to this campaign until he renounces the virulent anti-Semitism and hatred of the person that he's campaigning with?
We actually have that tweet, so let's pop it up on the screen, guys. So this is Hakeem Jeffries' anti-Semitism X post, and it says, "The malicious claim for American Jews inviting violence against themselves is dangerous and anti-Semitic. There is zero justification for threats against the safety of our Jewish brothers and sisters in a moment of rising hate. We will fight the cancer of anti-Semitism with a fierce urgency of now." So Arthel, to Molly's point, not enough, too little, too late, or is it an indicator and a big flag in the Democrat Party?
I think these guys, they have to know the questions that are already on the exam. They should have answers ready for those questions, period. I mean, anti-Semitic threats or violence, unacceptable, period, right? And if you support the people of Israel, does not mean that you're inviting violence. And then of course there's the whole transgender issue in terms of circumcision that got totally out of hand, in my opinion, here. And it depends on religion and it's cultural. So stay out of that. And mothers and their parents let those decisions be made there. The bottom line is that I think that these politicians, when they go on any of these shows, you kind of know what's coming. Just focus on what is going to make Americans' lives better, affordable, and accessible to the American dream. That's all people want to know. Give me your answers to that.
And I think, Jeremy, there was a lot who sort of are waiting for a renunciation of some of these really putrid concepts. So even, for example, Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer weighing in and saying, look, El Sayed's explanations about his association and frankly, endorsement of Piker, he said it's unacceptable. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, El Sayed's response was pathetic, and it did not answer the call. I mean, the bottom line is he did not condemn Piker. He didn't even mention Piker. He didn't condemn what Piker said. He didn't say, I'll never campaign with this guy again. No Democratic members should allow Piker anywhere near them on the campaign trail. They should know nothing to do with this guy.
And you would think that's common sense. You would think it's obvious, but it seems that, either they like the influence or they like his distasteful ideology, frankly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, he had him on the campaign trail. You see pictures of him at the pool with Piker and doing all these things. And Piker obviously is an open anti-Semite. But then when you ask him about it, then all of a sudden he wants to try to, have this distance from him. But it's obvious to me that clearly him in this campaign, he wants to play both sides. He wants to play. Very interesting to me. I mean, if you notice, I love that Jesse asked him about this, and he kind of just says, well, we need to have a conversation about this. He doesn't really have any kind of, policy that he puts forth, but really his plan is to have the government pay for that, and so the government just send out checks to everyone, and that's what socialists do, right? They always love to spend other people's money, but they don't want to spend their own.
I mean, but that's all part of the game playing. Just stick to what is going to make life better for Americans. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. And I think, look, if you want to send out a reparations payment, you can Venmo me, you can send me a Cash App payment. I'm happy to get it. I mean, look, just take the first step. You want to spend other people's money, you're happy to send a payment my way. But honestly, though, he's also losing a lot of the black vote in Michigan. That's one of the reasons why he's actually come out with this. Because if you look at his results on Election Day in the primary, you would expect him to get to perform better with black voters. But he actually underperformed. And so that's why you see him kind of all of a sudden coming out with this, we need to come out with reparations. It's all trying to get that black vote. He thinks that black people in Michigan are, I guess he thinks they're all gullible, I guess, and they're going to go along with that. But I think he's going to find out they're much smarter than he thinks.
Yeah, he wants to purchase votes. I thought, Kaylee, frankly, he was fantastically juvenile in his absolute missing the point of so many of these concepts, including and especially reparations, conflating many issues, talking about redlining, talking about then the seizure of assets from those successful Americans, including black Americans, to then redistribute to, as he said, their home communities, which is totally outside of his policy. He didn't know the national budget. He didn't know the cost of his ridiculous healthcare propositions. And he struck me as someone who continues to fall back on these sort of catchy talking points. You're for the billionaires. I thought you were for the American people. Having zero substance and a massive lack of education in an experiential way. I felt like I was frankly listening to a teenager who hasn't left the academic classroom, and I found him a little defensive, probably rightly so, at being called out at how ineffective, ill-prepared, and impotent he is.
Yeah, I mean, listening to him answer some of those questions or refuse to answer some of them, you get the sense of why. If you go to Mike Rogers' X feed, it is video after video after video of former Democrats or current Democrats in the state of Michigan who are coming out in support of Mike Rogers' campaign. And it's because they cannot get on board with anything that this guy's saying. He is far too left for even, I would imagine, a lot of voters in very deep blue parts of the country like New York City, let alone in Michigan. I do want to focus on one really interesting part of that interview, though, where Jesse asked Abdul El Sayed about his past comments on Sharia law and saying, you know, do you still agree that those who oppose Sharia law are white supremacists? And not only did he refuse to disavow those past comments, he made the absurd suggestion that Sharia law is just simply a different religious belief. That's not what it is. It's a political and legal framework. And how do we know this? Because multiple countries have already implemented it. And in every single one of these countries, women are not treated as equal stakeholders. People of different religions are almost always worried about persecution. And you know, for El Sayed's suggestion that people here in the US don't need to be worried about Sharia law being implemented, let me just share this personal anecdote. I grew up outside of Dearborn, and one of the ministries that my church worked with very frequently was a ministry that helped provide free ELS classes to Muslim women in the community. And one of the services that we also provided was free transportation to and from classes. And you want to know why that was necessary? Because driving is a skill that their husbands did not believe was valuable for them to learn. And in fact, learning English was not seen as a skill valuable for many of them as well. So yes, I am quite frankly worried about anyone who would support an ideology that would treat women as less than. And I do not think that you are white supremacist at all if you disagree with that.
No, and I think if you're being honest, you see it's antithetical to American values and our Constitution. And I don't think you're a white supremacist if you say that in acknowledgement. And the circumcision with the hacking up, I mean, guys, it was very telling, and I hope Michigan voters were watching.